Narthaki Podcast.
Hello everybody, I'm Anita Ratnam and welcome to the Narthaki Podcast. Now, I have to tell you that the term producer is not used very often when we talk about the Indian dance world, the Indian dance ecosystem, because it's habitual for the principal choreographer to wear all the many hats. Creator, main performer, then the organizer, and so many things. Either the person does it or somebody in the family does it. But here we have in our studio a producer of the arts. But he didn't start out being that. He started out by being a Bharatanatyam dancer, then a Veena player, and now heading one of Southeast Asia's most successful and prolific dance and cultural academies. My guest is Aravinth Kumarasamy of Apsaras Arts, Singapore. Welcome.
Welcome and thank you, Anita.
Something that people don't know about you is you were trained under the great Varuvu Ramaya Pillai as a Bharatanatyam dancer.
Yes.
You also did your Arangetram.
Yes.
Under Varuvurar.
Yes.
And then when you moved to Singapore, what happened? What did you find or not find?
So when I reached Singapore, it was hard to get gigs to perform. Right?
For male dancers.
For male dancers. And I also went in as a foreigner. So I didn't belong to any of the gurus. So, I'm not part of an institution. So it was hard to perform. And, after being trained under somebody like Ramaya Pillai, one had got used to performing in very solid, I would say, repertoire, right?
Yes.
And that was hard to find live musicians to sing for you. Of course, nobody can match Vadiyar's Natuangam, So then my Veena skills came in handy. So I'm Kalpam Swaminathan's disciple from Chennai. And I started to then play and compose for dance because I understood dance very well. I knew dance music. So that became how I was known initially. And then it was Neela Mami who recognized that I have the qualities of choreography and artistic direction, and she started to bring me and introduce me into her works, and I started to mirror her, assist her, and so there were many projects where I used to assist her. So when I say assist, we start from doing the research, coming up with the stage script, looking for lyrics, and of course then working with even composers that she would like to collaborate in Chennai.
So now I have to stop you here and tell the viewers that he referred to Neela Mami and he means Neela Satyalingam, who was my teacher in Kalakshetra. Believe me, I wouldn't have survived Kalakshetra without her. And soon after, I think in 1976, she moved to Singapore with her husband and established Apsaras Arts. And it was her earnest wish that she wanted to create that kind of excellence, Kalakshetra excellence in Singapore, and she wanted to train the dancers with the same rigor. So I remember when I visited, and it must have been, of course, in the 90s, after I came back from America, but I'd come earlier with my sister also to perform,
yes.
The two of us, and she presented us. But I remember that rigor that she wanted to bring, and I remember her first set of students as being excellent dancers, really well trained, Singaporean, of Tamil origin. Now, so I met you with Neela Mami, and we worked on a couple of projects together. But tell me, when you took over Apsaras, which was in 2005?
Yes.
Yeah. What did you find that the organization what were the gaps? And the world had changed since then. Facebook only launched in 2004. So the world was beginning to change. The iPhone had not yet come. But what did you see when it was a huge responsibility, right? Because she had already won this high cultural medallion award. She was one of the icons in the Singaporean cultural scene. And now you have Apsaras. So now what was your first reaction? What were the first things that you wanted to do?
So actually, both Satyalingam Mama and Neela Mami wanted a succession plan while they were at it. So they wanted somebody to start working with them, shadowing with them. So after being a composer, a choreographer with a researcher, all the different hats I played, when they called up and said, would you be our succession plan? Would you like to take over? So I thought about it and I went back to them and said that There are so many academies in Singapore. By that time, so many teachers and gurus came from Chennai or wherever, and then they will take a PR. It was easy to get PR in Singapore at that time, not like now. And they settled down, opened the academies, and like in the US, every basement had a teacher. So I told Neela Mami, that's not how we can make a difference. Are you okay that we create a repertory company? And she went silent for 5 minutes. I said, why, Mami, anything I said wrong? She said, no, that was my dream because I come from Kalakshatra repertory, but I couldn't do it. If you want to do it, yes, I will fully support you. Then I said, Mami, it has to be very international. Are you okay that it's not the run-of-the-mill where students learn and then they go as a company dancer? I want it to be professional company dancer where we can audition and bring in good dancers. So not necessarily you get the right of way if you're a student of Neela Sathilingam. She said, yes, that's what I wanted. I said, Baulshai Ballet is our dream. Cloud Gate is our dream. So can we come? And then they were both very supportive. So that was the vision. And I'm glad that Mami also had the vision, but she didn't start doing it. So it was kind of a shared, vision that we went on. So of course she was there for the first 10 years of seeing it grow and come out. So that's how I wanted to make a difference. So today, if you ask what is Apsaras Arts, so we have a Apsaras Dance Company and Apsaras Academy, but 80% of what we do are repertory work. We still have the academy, which is about 20% of our energy, 20% of our budgets that we put. But the academy still is there to continue the good work. So people who are teaching in the academy are not the company dancers. So there's clear responsibilities, roles, because if we have teachers who are traveling on international tours, what happens to the students? Yeah, and if they're not come for rehearsal, taking class, what happens to the company? So that clear demarcation happened even in Neela Mami's time. And that was the vision. And I'm so grateful that Mami really supported wholeheartedly instead of telling me, no, don't do all that. Just keep the academy going.
Singapore has always maintained a multicultural face. It speaks about Indian, Chinese, and Malay. And I remember seeing billboards at one time where the Indian face would be a Bharatanatyam dancer and the Chinese person would not be a Chinese dancer, a Chinese person in a business suit, and the Malay person would be in a traditional dress. And somehow Bharatanatyam became, like at one point, like the face of the Indian community in Singapore. Now, I know that the Singapore Arts Council, the state, the arts budget, has been a huge supporter of Apsaras when Neela Mami was there, and it continues to support you. Would you say that you are able to dream because of that unconditional support?
I think that's very true. So we are very lucky to be in Singapore. First of all, Singapore government, state, and the people support the arts, right? And then in that, the whole pie, we get a slice for Indian arts as well, not just Indian dance, Indian music. And Apsaras today is a major grant company. So we have an annual grant on a 3-year cycle. So yes, we are so grateful. But I'm also very, very happy that we are not just doled out money. So we are given a certain percentage and we expect to earn the rest of it. So we are also under pressure to make sure that we make it a sustainable model. So any project that we think of is not that, we have grant money to spend. We only get portion of it to be spent from the grant. The rest we have to earn it through performance revenue, sponsorship, or any other way. So that's also put us into pressure, but it's a good pressure so that we think about sustainability. And for me, I'm always thinking, when can I get the company out of a grant situation? When can the company be sustainable? There are theatre companies in Singapore who are like me, who started with grant for many years, and now they're completely out of the grant cycle. They are on their own, sustainable. They have their own venues, own theatres, and all that. So I don't know whether Indian dance can go so far, but I think that one could try. And one could. So that's a good thing about getting support from the government. You get the support, but they also put you in. And of course, the money doesn't come free. It comes with KPIs. And you need to make sure you actually fulfill them. And the KPIs are very much towards creativity. They want you to create new work. They want you to do research, not say have 5 dancers and 5 desks on the chair. They want to make sure that you create and contribute to the community.
Do they also support you when you travel overseas? Do they give you travel grants?
So as a major grant company, our travel is embedded. So we have to say in this year we will do so much travel. But if there's a one-off travel that we are going to open up a new market, then we can be supported. So last year when we went first time to the USA, we were given support because it's a country that we've never been before. So they supported us to go to the country. But normally your major grant covers certain amount of travel. And then we also work very hard to make sure that the presenters invite us, give us some accommodation, pay some of the airfare. So we don't take out the entire money and go for a free ride. And that actually makes it interesting because in my humble experience, Anita, I feel that when you talk to a presenter and if you are in a negotiation point, they see that you value your art. Not that you just come and say, hey, I'll just come and dance for free. Actually, they don't support those kind of artists today. They want to see artists. They may not give the whole budget, but at least they support. So even when we come to perform in Chennai, which you know what the environment is, we don't pay to get opportunities. At least they have to pay me 1,000 rupees to perform. Some money should be given.
Yeah.
So that's how that's how our grant scheme also works.
Because the dance ecosystem is always at the bottom of the totem pole of the arts. It's so expensive to produce, so expensive to maintain with the costumes, the whole ecosystem of dance. And even today, we keep saying that musicians get rich and the dancers are the last to be paid. But coming back to you as an artistic director, you may be geographically located in Singapore. I've seen you collaborate with so many other Southeast Asian companies and their aesthetics. So primarily Cambodia and Thailand and Indonesia. So tell me about why you thought that was necessary for a Bharatanatyam company.
So being a Bharatanatyam repertory company, if we kind of emulate what Rukmini Devi did for Kalakshetra, then what's the difference? Right? And I think the world has moved on from the typical Natya Nadagam format, right? Where you take Puranic stories and you do. So I wanted to know what will be our USP? Why would a festival invite us if we are doing the same Ramayana, in the same format? I'm not just talking about the storyline. Then I give credit to Padma Subramaniam Baduka, who opened my eyes, and Neela Mami is also saying, hey, you guys are surrounded by Southeast Asia, and Natya Shastra is all around you. So when I started to work with the Cambodians or the Javanese or the Balinese, we couldn't speak Cambodian, they can't speak English, but the terminology of Natya Shastra we could talk. So we could talk dance. They will know the mandalas. We can tell the charis. They will know exactly what we are doing. So I thought, my God, it's for take, because most of my predecessors in India and my current contemporaries are running to the West. They want to be in US, they want to be in Carnegie Hall, they want to be in Joyce Theatre. But for me, Southeast Asia is all there for you, because they know your story, they understand the movement, but we are not the same. Bharatanatyam is not same as Javanese dance, but it's not same, but same, So we can collaborate organically. So for example, I think you watched our Ramayana when we had the Trijada, who was a Javanese dancer. We didn't have to give them written script. The Manodharma happened organically, because they could understand the hand gestural language, the facial expressions. So I thought that's a treasure trove that we are sitting on, and I wanted to make that our difference. So my journey has been looking into Southeast Asia, but not just dance, architecture, epical reference, history. There's a shared cultural roots between these countries. And so Singapore being in the middle, I think we are trying to exploit that. It's a bridge holding one hand India, one hand Southeast Asia. So even the Arisi that you talked about, there's Indian music, Indian dancers, Singapore music, and of course the Balinese as well, holding their hands.
I think with the world economy in such a precarious position, the cost of your productions looks very expensive. Mounting productions like this, cross-cultural collaborations, even though they are within neighbouring Southeast Asian countries. What do you think of the immediate future, say in the next 3 years? Are you thinking very big in terms of large-scale productions to fill grand theatres? Or are you thinking of doing smaller salon type, smaller things that are easier to produce, less expensive to produce, and easier to tour?
So actually, it's a very good question, Anita. And when I set out to see what's the trajectory of the company, I realized that we'll have challenges when the productions are large. So I follow the small, medium, large formula, right? So a medium show is about 6 to 8 dancers. The large ones have 20 plus dancers and musicians and what have you. The smaller ones could be a solo, duet, trio, yeah? So we create works of all these different sizes and try to see which one will actually meet the budget, meet a touring, opportunity well. The large projects are quite large that I have done. But I take a 5-year cycle for each one, not only for budgetary, but also for thinking, because large project has a lot of work to do. So it takes almost 3 to 4 years of making. So after the large project is done, 1 year break, don't even dream on any big project, and then you start. But in Singapore, the large projects have an opportunity, and that's where Apsaras was able to make a mark, because nobody was, I don't know whether you say foolish or bold enough or courageous enough to put their feet down to do. So President like Esplanade love that, because they want to see Indian dance also as big as Cloud Gate and Bolshoi. Why only present Western forms? So they give me a lot of support, but then I'm very, very practical. Every year we can't churn out a large one. So it takes 5 to 7 years. So if you look at my Angkor, we look at my Anjaneyam, if you look at my Arisi, each have a 5 to 6 years of gap. And that also helps us to raise money, raise sponsorship, raise partners, supporters, but most importantly, go to the research of the work. And we don't do run-of-the-mill, right? So we have to think of costume design. And when I say costume design, we can dream, but then come to the practicality. Can we afford those costumes? So we have to go and look for the bargain, look for something that's affordable. So I would say that at the outset, Anita, many people tell me, oh my God, you would have spent a fortune on this. But actually, it's not true. It's being clever.
Yeah.
It's being clever,
Yeah.
For example, Arisi, every jewelry was terracotta, made by an artist from Bangalore. So I wanted mud because of rice. But on stage, it looked all grand, like temple jewelry, but it was not.
Yeah. So my next question to you is not just about affordability, but about the changing tastes of dance audiences in Singapore. So I remember when I used to come many, many years ago, decades ago, I would find it almost like a very nice ghetto, like the Indian audiences came for the Bharatanatyam or the South Indian audiences. But Singapore has changed so dramatically now. You have Indians from all over India, not just Tamil or South Indian. And how have those audiences, the changing demographics, how have they responded to Apsara's works?
So actually, this was again one of the challenges I put to ourselves. We should have box office collection, And I wanted to come out of a situation where the parents and families and neighbors of the dancers come to watch, right? So I remember we created a partnership with Esplanade, and Esplanade opened 22 years ago. I remember the very first show we had, when I came out to the audience, practically I knew everybody. Today, I don't know everybody, right? And we filled 6,000 audiences, 3 nights of 2,000-seater. I practically will recognize some of them because I've seen them come for shows, but I don't know them by name. In fact, sometimes our families don't get tickets because they are sold out. But what has happened to Apsaras is because of the topics we do on Southeast Asia and all, we get a lot of non-Indian audience. So a lot of Caucasian, a lot of Japanese, a lot of Koreans, of course Singapore Chinese. So we have a very good mix of audience. And they always, when in the feedback they write, oh, we come to Apsaras, baby. We not just come to enjoy, but we learn something. Oh, we didn't know that Angkor was this. We didn't know rice was used for this, So that's our USP. And I think that's drawing the crowd. But it's a lot of hard work, right? You have to think ahead of what the society wants. And you are right. Today we have audience who get watched. In Singapore, most importantly, unlike in Chennai, they get to watch everything.
The best of everything.
Yeah, they can watch Carmen.
International,
They can
yes.
watch Carmen. Next day they are watching Bolshoi. Their cloud gate. So they will compare, even though genre is Bharatanatyam. So where they set design, the lighting, the storyline, so which is good because we also get to watch all that as creators. So we have always the bar pushed for us to jump. I think that is what I would say. We are lucky to be there and of course the audience will get to watch a lot. We need to also rise to the expectation of the audience.
You started the IPAC, which is the Indian Performing Arts Conference convention. Now, what propelled you to do that?
Okay, what propelled to do that is when I went to Singapore 30 plus years ago, it was more or less hobbyists who were performing. Even under Neela Mami, they had other jobs to do. They would come in the evenings and perform. Then in the last 15 years, I saw that people were ready to take it as a profession. So Singapore Bharatanatyam dancers would do the proper training of Bharatanatyam. They will come to India to hone their skills, but they will go to LaSalle and learn art administration. They will learn theatre. They'll get a degree in theatre practice from Goldsmiths and LaSalle degree. So they were very serious. So I realized that all of them can't keep coming to Chennai. All of them can't have accessibility to great masters and scholars. They will never be able to meet somebody like Sunil Kothari on a daily matter or get to listen on Karnas from Padma Subramanian. So IPAC was created to propel this movement of youngsters who wanted to take professional.
So invites the experts from India.
All over the world actually, but mostly from India.
Right.
And they do a 10-day residency. So during the mornings, it's master classes. Afternoons, we have lecture demonstration, and I curate the lectures. So it's not like I call somebody like Leela Samson and say, please do a lecture. We actually curate what are the topics so that they complement each other. We have scholars coming over, like we are Devika, Rama Bharadwaj, who are not necessarily will take master class, but they will add to the topic. We have lighting designers, we have script writers, so various things. And that was to propel this movement of people getting serious to become professional dancers. And the other thing is that I found out that unlike what I see in other countries in the diaspora, not about India, the teachers are not contented just to teach and run arangetans by just knowing Manmargam. Singapore teachers were keen to learn more. They wanted to know what's happening. So when I started, probably the only place in the world where there are 20 to 30 Bharatanatyam dancers for 1 week in one room learning as students. So IPAC, they come and attend. They bring their students to attend the junior levels. So it's a whole community coming together. And the teachers have really benefited. I mean, we have had Dhananjans, we have CVC sir,
You've had the greats.
Yeah, so I had CVC sir even do a session on when do you know the student is ready for Arangetram? So these are things that they don't get. And the whole idea came, Anita, is from me being involved in the corporate world. And I understood that in the medical world, you can be a great GP. If you don't pass your continual medical exam, CME, your license is revoked.
That's exactly what I came to say.
So I thought, what happened to our teachers?
Yes.
For the same Rupam Bujuchi, they can run for 50 years, right? So I wanted them to have some kind of professional, training. Upskilling. And that's what IPAC is doing for them at all levels. So we are not interested to people who come to learn item. So I brief Rama Vaidyanathan. You're not here to teach Tillana. You're imparting the skills of how it is performed, and they get to learn from various people, right? They even get to... So I bring mostly concert artists, Anita, not so-called gurus. Because everybody has their own guru. I don't want to disrupt that ecosystem. But when a performer like Rama comes, she will share how she prepares for a concert, what she eats, how she does stretches, how does she does research, how does she look at subtext, the text of an item. So that's what they are learning.
So now tell me about this thing you have called AHA. What is AHA about?
So about 2 years ago, Anita, we launched a digital platform called Ave.video.
Okay.
Right? Ave is an old Tamil word for congregation of
Correct.
people coming together, like-mindedness. Yeah,
Yes.
not just a language or literature. It was like-mindedness. So when you say Ave, means you are bringing together people who share the interest and passion. And there could be scholars, there'll be onlookers, there'll be students of various levels of interest.
It's like a sangam.
Yes, it's
Of
like a
those days,
sangam.
yes.
Arangam.
Yeah. Yes,
So that was why it was created, because when I kept looking at Netflix, I had a dream. What if we have a Netflix like a platform and you only see Indian classical dance? So that was a very tall vision. And I must thank the Singapore government. They said, okay, Aravinth, we'll help you to get the infrastructure ready. After that, you have to be on your own. So they helped me to put together a platform, and it has to be secure, because like an artist, I don't want my content to be stolen, right, and hacked and all. And so that platform was launched last year. So for 1 year, it's been running. We have about 5,000 subscribers already. And I thought, people think, oh, are you doing this for the diaspora to watch from all over the world? I said, no, what happens to people in Coimbatore and Salem? They cannot take 15 days leave and sit in Music Academy or Krishnagana Sabha. But today they all have a smart device, they have a smart TV.
Yes.
It's not like the days they take a train to come. So where are we giving them good content to watch, right? Touring has become very expensive, and now it's becoming more expensive.
Yes.
Even large venues in Europe and all don't want to touch any company with a barge pole. They can't afford it. You know.
Even the Indian government, I think, even when they send people abroad, they said not a group not more than 10.
Yes, and the tours are far less than those days.
Yes.
I mean, all these ICCR empaneled artists are not even traveling.
No, I
they
know.
only have their CVs because less opportunity. So how can your work travel? But then I was mindful that the work, that live shows are what we live for. So it should not cannibalize it. So how can it complement? So Ave started to showcase full-length pieces, but not the full work, so that when that show travels to your destination, you would actually come to watch the real deal.
It's like a capsule or a slice of the main
Correct,
work.
not a reel.
Yeah.
So now I realized that it's time that we run a festival on it. So AHA is the name of the festival that is going to start in mid-May. It will run for a few weeks. So we have got artists on various levels, the masters, the legends, the trailblazers, and the rising stars, and some ensemble work, because now a lot of ensemble works are happening, which are not the typical Natya Nadagam, but many other ensemble works. So this is to create opportunity for the artists to reach out. And of course, we all need money, right? So this is only subscription based. So you can't see free for like YouTube. So people watch, they have to pay a subscription, and the revenue shared back with the artist. So the artist gets some kickback on being there. So it's not free for all. Because I think we were exploited during COVID. We were all crazy. We gave so much free content. We just spoiled the whole market until I still remember that post-COVID, I was at the Music Academy. One particular dancer had put so much free content that nobody came to watch her because they said, oh, we see reel at home, you know. So this is the idea, to actually create back that audience to come back and put money where their mouth is, basically. Right?
But tell me, when you ask artists, say seniors and legends, you're talking about Padma Subramaniam, you're talking about Chitra Vishweshwaran, you're talking of people who are now in their 70s, 80s. Are you looking for content when they were in their prime? Do you want people to see them when they were in their 30s, 40s, I mean?
So in IPAC, Anita, the I, though is Indian, for me it stands for inspiration. So even AHA should inspire another generation. So it's not just about watching. How can it inspire? So I spoke to the legends and said, can we have content? Of course, it will not be shot on 4G camera and multi-camera and all, but give me a performance that today's generation not even born when you danced it. Because they should see some of the best work, right? Because they only read about all these legends, not the best work. So all of them have kindly agreed to give me, and they're giving me content that even I have not seen. You know, so it's really going to be very inspiring, because legends have their quality of inspiring. We're not going to be writing reviews about their work. We should admire and learn from. And the content they are sharing is amazing, Anita. Even somebody like me is a lot to see and a lot to learn. And you know what? You realize the cycle keeps coming. So these youngsters who are now talking about, I'm going to think out of the box and all, actually it was done long ago. So you actually be inspired to do more.
Yeah, to take from where they started.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I agree that I just wanted to know, in today's Instagram generation, where you have only 3 seconds to hold somebody's attention, what does it mean to launch something now? It seems almost risky to have somebody subscribe, put their money, watch legends that they have heard about, and look at work, and yet have the patience to look and see that this was done 40 years ago, the ideas were generated 40 years ago. What do you think about today's generation? Because many people are saying they're attention starved, they don't have the respect for wisdom and a continuous experience. I don't teach, I don't have that history of taking a student when they're 6 or 7 years old and taking him or her through an arangetram. I contract with already trained dancers, but even then, over the last 30 years that I've been working, I've seen a sea change. So what about you when you're working with a repertory company and you want to launch something like AHA and Ave? What do you see are the challenges?
So actually you put it very rightly, the attention span. I think the social media has corrupted us. Even people in my generation have started to scroll the reel, right? So the legends that you mentioned are the ones giving premium content from their yesteryear. The rest of the content created are today's content. So there are rising stars also, right? So there is a mix for everybody. So would I look for 1 million subscribers? No. I'm looking for quality. Quality audience to come and watch.
But is there a threshold? Do you want your 50,000? Do you want like a lack of subscribers? There has to be a certain threshold, but you have to sustain it.
Correct. So we have to sustain it, but this is a start only. So you need to give the taste, right? No point talking about I make the best payasam and nobody has drunk it. So hopefully it will spread. But again, I'm not looking at serving in 1 million payasams out, right? So you must be careful with the expectation. And also, I believe that this is another chance for artists to see each other. Because today they are so busy, youngsters, they are so busy, consumed in their own performance, own rehearsal, they don't even come to watch each other. But now they have no excuse, right? And the duration of each content is where I try to be clever. I put a 12-minute ceiling so that nobody hits the scroll bar, right? Because if they say 32 minutes, they're not going to watch, right? So that's the idea. They get to say gist, and also save the artist of the real work. Then the rest of the work when it goes live. So it serves the purpose of that. But if I am aiming to convert a person only has bandwidth to watch a 30-second video and be done, then that's not my audience, to be honest. But if I can convert some of them over, then maybe I've succeeded. But I think there's enough starved audiences. And I mentioned to you, not only diaspora, but even in India. When I travel, they tell me, we don't get to watch any of these shows. We don't get to watch any of these artists. They seldom come. They always keep going to the US. They don't even come to Salem, So now I'm bringing Chennai to Salem, so to say.
Yeah. I think the digital world is a marvelous way of really being very democratic, and it has sort of busted the whole idea of gatekeepers.
Yes.
Right? So I think that's very, very good. I just wanted to ask about who do you think that Apsaras is looking for a mentor to take the company sort of international in a very big way? Are you looking to somebody as a mentor to expand your own artistic vision for Apsaras?
So I always say that there is any work we do, whether it's a production or a research, it has to stand on 2 pillars, Anita: innovation and collaboration. Right? So collaboration is where I try to collaborate with the best of the best, because I enjoy the process. Actually, my dancers get very annoyed with me. On the opening night, I say, okay, this is done. Now you all go and dance. I can't do anything. I'll wait to review the show and then see what can be. Because my job is done. I start talking about the next project and they get very annoyed. Because the process is so important. Because when you collaborate with somebody, now, for example, I'm collaborating with Singapore Symphony Orchestra. So much to learn, not about their music, even how the organization is run, how their librarian works. I mean, these are not words that we talk in Bharatanatyam, language, right? How a producer works, what a production manager does. So that's how I think I get mentored by many people, so that, and you need to be looking out for that opportunity. You could collaborate and walk away by thinking, you know everything. So you should be, and this is something that I've learned from great masters. Neela Mami was one such person. Baduka is a learner. She's like a primary student. When I bring her to Bali, she's like, oh, what's that? She's so eager. And my God, she's an ocean of knowledge. Yes. And I think she is who she is because she's always want to learn. And that's something that, so you are right. I need a lot of mentorship because if you think you know it all, that's a day you can wind up. Right? So collaborations are where I get a lot of mentorship because we have many things to be mentored. How you produce, how we present, how we women pitch our shows to international festivals. It's not easy. It's not that, I have a lovely video, they should call me. Nobody does that.
I know there is something called the dance market that people need to know about and to attend.
Yes.
To be able to know that we are in a market-driven economy.
Exactly.
And that dance is a product.
Yeah. And when to walk away, Anita.
Yes.
This is not the platform. This is not the presenter I want to work with. You do know also what to walk away, but also to walk in. Yes. So these are the links I get mentored. So for example, now we are going to go to Edinburgh Festival this year. And with the producers there, I'm learning so much because we're going to dance for 12 nights continuously. Yeah. I don't think a Bharatanatyam dance company has done that, 12 nights to 12. And I'm learning so much. I'm learning so much how to get ourselves geared up for that, So we are looking at, one set of costumes won't work, right? So we need to have, we are almost like a company that's going to run a season for so long. So there, now I can say I'm getting mentored by the Edinburgh Festival.
So tell me, over the years, do you find that the quality of Bharatanatyam dancers in Singapore has actually improved? Because that was Neela Mami's dream, to have the Singaporean Bharatanatyam dancers on par with the best of the Indian Bharatanatyam dancers. Have you seen the quality improve? Do you still feel you need inputs from seniors in India?
I think the technique-wise, they are very good now. And I think 2 years before Neela Mami passed away, you were exactly right, spot on. That was a dream. And we get to perform at Kalakshetra. So that was a huge opportunity. And after the performance, a few of Neela Mami's colleagues, batchmates who came to watch the show, 3 of them walked up to her independently and told, Neela, your dancers are dancing better than ours in Kalakshetra. Mami that's a day she said, okay, I have achieved that. So, but in general, the dance it's of good quality because I'm very, very happy that the people who have taken it as a profession, they come, whether they dance or not, they are in Chennai watching the season, watching everybody. And today, you see, the internet allows them to watch everything. Yes. Yeah. So they are very aware. They are very aware of, so things like Anga Suddham and all, we don't have to drill them anymore. They know they should have a certain, quality. And they are very happy to come and do a masterclass with Briga to understand Abhinaya. So they know who to go. IPAC helped them. So they have got access to all these people.
So now they take the initiative themselves.
Yes. They come, they learn with Priyadarshini Govind. I have students who have gone to learn from Rama in Delhi. Many have learned from Briga. Many have come to learn from Dhananjayans, So they have access now. You can give access, you can bring the horse to the water, but you must drink, right? So, yes, the Singapore dancers are aware, and I think they are pushing themselves a lot. And that's good for us.
Well, I know it was very dramatic. You also collapsed on stage.
Yes.
And that was a health scare, and I'm very happy to have you with us. I just want to thank you for this conversation, and we look forward to the new project that you're doing in collaboration with the Symphony Orchestra. And viewers, I want to thank you all for joining us on this what I found a most interesting conversation. Aravinth Kumarasamy of Apsaras Arts, our guest on this edition of the Narthaki Podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and send us your comments, because we need to hear from you whenever we take the trouble to invite interesting guests into our studio and have them share their journey and their ideas. Thank you all for watching, and thank you, Aravinth.
Thank you, Anita. It was a pleasure talking to you. And thank you for Narthaki. I've grown up with Narthaki. Thank you.